Okay, we will start. Yasmat jatam jagat sarvam yasminyeva praliyate ene vadharyatam chaiva tasmai jnanatmane namaha Ishvaro gururatmeti murti beda vibhagine vyomavat vyapta dehaya dakshinamurtaye namaha Taittiriya mayacharya prasadataha vispashtartaruchinam hi vyakyeyam sampraniyate Om. So we are in the end of the third anuvaka of Taittiriya Upanishad. Ancient Indian wisdom, particularly this Vedic knowledge, the Shruti, the mantras, Brahmanas and the Aranyakas and the Upanishads, as we are actually seeing, is highly metaphorical in nature, highly figurative in its usage. So the best example of that is what we saw last class, Samhitopasanam. Look at what is happening here. The Rishi is saying, or the Shruti is saying, that take two words and focus on the technique of Sandhi. So there are some technical words, Purva Rupam, Uttara Rupam, Sandhi and Sandhanam. Take these four ideas and on that you contemplate. This is a classic example. I was mentioning this last class. So this cannot be understood by reading the meaning, the English meaning, because it is highly figurative. We can't just, because if we do that, if we try to just read and technically understand what is Purva Rupa and what is Uttara Rupa, Sandhi and Sandhanam, two things can happen. One that can happen is we will dismiss all these as uninteresting because at that level it is uninteresting. Or we might get it wrong. We might be misled in terms of the meaning. So it requires repeated contemplation of what is being told there. That's why the upasana, the term upasana, is a mechanism in which you take something and on that you superimpose something else. That is the very idea of upasana. Because the Brahman is nirguna. There is no way to use our indriya. They are atindriyas. They are not something indriya vedyana that cannot be known through the indriyas. Then what we have is only the indriyas, the karma indriyas, jnana indriyas, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, all these gadgets and all these frills. So the question is, how can you reach something you cannot reach with a certain equipment? So this is the problem rishis are trying to address. So they are telling us the first step in that process is you take a proxy of that nirguna into some saguna and train your mind to keep thinking of. That's why it is very hard. Only when we are sold on this idea, then the Samhita Upasana will make any sense. Otherwise, why are we taking two words? Why are we looking at the junction? These questions will come. He is doing it because as a student of Veda, they are very familiar with the example. Chandas, Sandhi, all that they know. Samhita is a simple sutra in Panini. So people are aware. So the Upanishad starts with a simple idea and say, just take your mind from 100 things. Otherwise the mind will wander all over the place. Therefore I will give you a technique. So this is how we started. So this first chapter of Taittiriya is full of upasanas. The reason is, until this mind is tied to a peg, like a cow, and given only a certain thread, then you now limit the area of grazing. Slowly pull the thread. So from an area you come to a point and remove the bindu also. This is the idea. That is why the upasana is, that's why in common parlance we are supposed to do it. If somebody says I am Devi Upasaka, somebody says I Omkara, I do upasana. What does we mean? What we mean by that is, the nirguna is now, this becomes the alambana or the symbol on which I learn to see that. So that is how we started. So this much of meaning, this much of reflection, thinking about it once is not going to even convince us on this, because we need to see the utility of it only by going through it. So upasana has to be that path we have to travel. So that's how we got, even in that Samhita Upasana, we had 5 options. We said Adilokam, Adijyotisham, Adiprajam, Adhyatmam, Adividya, Adividyam. These are the 5. So there are even 5 options given on a single so-called symbol. You say, try to contemplate this. So this exercise is actually an exercise to bring the mind back to you. That is the spirit of this exercise. So that is what we saw. We did not see the phala of that. We stopped with that. So we will see the phala today. So the Upanishad says, Iti mamaha sagumhitaha ya eva meta maha sagumhita vyakhyata veda sandhiyate prajaya pashubihi brahmavachchasanenadhyena suvargena. So this is the phala for that upasana. It says what will happen. That is what that anuvaka 3 ends with this. First of all, it says iti ma maha sagumhitaha. See, this sagumhita is a Vedic expression. The gum will go when you say it in a prose order. Samhita becomes sagumhita for the swara. In Yajurveda you will have that. Those are all the rules of the Vyakarana anyway. So iti ma maha samhitaha. That's what the Upanishad is saying. Thus are these maha samhitaha. So it says these are great samhitas. And why is it great? It is great for 2 important reasons. First important reason is, it is taking chandas as the alambana. Not a novel, 2 words from the novel, not 2 words from some prose or something. It has taken the conjunction of Vedic text. That is one reason why it is Mahasamhita. The second reason why it is Mahasamhita is the objects which are superimposed on them are, as I was telling, from Vyashti to Samashti, from Anda to Pinda. Everything, those 5 layers are things worthy of contemplation, which are big things. So that's why the Anuvaka ends by saying, Iti ma maha samhitaha yaha evam etaha maha samhitaha vyakhyataha veda. One who is aware of this. So that's why I said awareness is not the meaning. Awareness is not the understanding of the meaning of this. Awareness is developing a capability of doing that upasana. Which means I am able to take these 2 words from a Vedic text and focus on the junction and contemplate Adilokam or Adijyotisham or Adividyam or Adiprajam or Adhyatmam. Agnit Purva Rutam Aditya Uttara Rupam Akasha Sandhihi Vayu Sandhanam. That is Adijyotisham. So if somebody has slowly got into that way of changing their mind, that is the meaning of this. So yaha evam etaha mahasamhitaha vyakhyataha veda. What will happen to them? Sandhiyate. because this whole upasana is conjunction. So the Upanishad uses the word, you will be conjoined with. That's how it actually says. Because it is samhita, which is conjunction, so you will also be in conjunction with what? So that's what it says, prajaya, with offsprings, pashubhihi. Pashubhihi is actually a reference to economic well-being, because we have to look at the context of time. Cattle is a great source of economic well-being at that time. It's an agrarian based, it is not an industrial economy. So Pashubhihi refers to material richness, wealth. Brahmavarchas, that lustre, prepares you for that receiving that ultimate truth of Brahman. That's the Brahmavarchas. And Suvargena Lokena, you will be also rewarded with not mumukshutva, swarga. Because Atma Vichara has not happened. So far Atma Vichara has not happened. It is only a preparatory step. Therefore the reward is not mumukshutva. The reward is Suvargena Lokena, Swarga Loka. The other world where you will, for all the good deeds, your loyalty points have increased. So you have a time share in heaven. Spend as much until the points are depleted and then come back. You know, that kind of so Suvargena Lokena. Now as we look at it, I want to contemplate a little bit on the benefits of the Samhita Upasana. Upasana per se, particularly the Samhita Upasana. The first and the most important benefit of any Upasana, therefore it applies for Samhita Upasana also, is our ability to converge the mind. Because if we cannot take back our mind, nothing worthwhile is possible in our spiritual journey. Our spiritual journey starts with our ability to gather the mind back to us. The mind is just escaping out all the time. Spiritual journeys, LKG is get the mind back. That is why Upasana is a very, very important tool for a sadhaka. It's an important sadhana. So, ability to converge the mind and take it away from the world of objects is the first benefit. For any Upasana, therefore, for Samhita Upasana also, we must have it. Ability to focus on some chosen idea or object. Because this is really the investment to, as I told you, this cow is now left. It can go and graze wherever it wants to graze. From there, our ultimate goal is to say that tie a thread to a peg and slowly bring it to a point where the thread is not required, the peg is not required, everything disappears. So that process is the benefit we will get through sadhana. So as in first chapter itself, we will see higher levels of sadhana. So sadhana is a progressive step taking us through these mind control, mind gathering. I wouldn't use the word control, I will say mind gathering. Because control also has a certain negative connotation. Mind gathering. It's a mind gathering exercise, primarily. So, this is a very, very important, crucial first step in our Atma Vichara and in our eventual Atma Vichara and in your spiritual journey. Anyway, this is very important towards that Nirguna Upasana. So, that is the second benefit. Third benefit is Samhita Upasana. Third benefit is the Rishis are actually getting us to a habit of reflecting on bigger objects. Ati Jyotisham, Agnipura Rupam, Akasha Uttara Rupam, Aditya Uttara Rupam, Akasha Santihi, Vayu Sandhanam, or Adilokam, right? All these are expanding our horizon of what we should think about. The Samashti. That is the idea of the objects that are put there. So it helps us enlarge our understanding of the sometimes we are so much self-centric. We are so much worried about ourselves and a little bit. That's why Swami Ramatirtha, so beautiful, he's a mathematician, being a great mathematician. Swami Ramatirtha says that as long as you have a circle has crookedness, he says. Because there is this convexity, concavity. It has to be. So he says, your expansion of yourself is that, and moment it has crookedness or it has this concavity, it has a limited enclosure. All that he talks about with the property of circle. So he says your circle, he talks about, four layers he talks about. Some of his lectures are so interesting. 4 layers he talks about. He says a material man, a plant man, an animal man, and a man. So the material man is like an inanimate. He says it is not even a circle, it is a dot. I am worried only about me. I am not even worried about my family. I am so selfish. That is the first layer. Then he says increase the radius. The curvature is still there, but the crookedness has slightly become better because the radius is bigger. He says my family. So he says he is a plant man. Then he talks about animal man. He goes a little further. He says maybe my society a little bit. So he says this whole journey is this circle must have infinite radius. So it should become a tangent or a line so that it opens up. So that opening up is an idea which has to happen to us. Otherwise we are sometimes too limited in our thinking. So this Samhita Upasana, by making us reflect on these bigger objects, is also letting us some ideas which will percolate repeatedly into us. And all the upasanas are primarily meant for Chitta Shuddhi. So any of the upasanas will lead us to a certain degree of Chitta Shuddhi. So those are the benefits which are not stated. Now the benefits that are stated, again I want to comment on the benefits that are stated. Because in many of these ancient Indian wisdom, again it says you will get Swarga, you will get Brahmavarchas, you will get all these Praja and Pashubhihi. Now the simple question is, how can you just take 2 words and look at the conjunction of these 2 words and then you are now, this is a very tempting offer. The current offers pale in comparison with this offer. Sort of. How does it happen? In fact, in many texts you will find these kinds of big benefits. Again, we need a Sukshmartha to understand. Just think about it. How do you make sense of such big claims? So I will take you through a little bit of a process. First of all, this upasana as a sadhana, by definition a sadhana is not a 15-minute. For compulsion of time we may do like that. Upasana means, definition of upasana is not doing it for about 15 minutes and that's it. It is to revel in that and be in that state. Be in that state of thinking all the time. That is the true meaning of sadhana, or a true sadhaka will slowly go there. So if we are reveling in that, we are in the continuous process of mental contemplation, which is the first step. Then what will happen? Such a continuous process of mental contemplation will take us to the higher plane of reality of the objects that we are talking. That is what will happen. Do it for 15 minutes, it will not happen. If we repeatedly contemplate, our thought process will lead us there. So it will take us to a different plane of reality and different plane of understanding. That's a logical step we can expect after slowly increasing this upasana over a period of time. So that means with a long period of this, for a few years, if we contemplate this on a chosen upasana, which will alter our thinking, that will lead us to a trajectory which will be very different. That is all implied when these benefits are being claimed. They don't have time to tell all that in that many details. We have to infer that by a bit of Sukshmartha that we are talking about. So if you do all that, then what is being listed? Now this is not uncommon. This is a very common thing. I will give you from our own example, I will give you. Now if you ask me how do I do a parikrama of Mount Kailash, sitting here, if I ask that question today, somebody will say, go for a walk 20 minutes a day. It's a very important first step. And people who have booked for their July trip to Kailash Parikrama, actually 3 months before they start walking 40 minutes, increase 20 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour, because the muscles have to loosen up. So just because I am telling something simple, it doesn't mean the benefits that are going to accrue are simple. It only says I am skipping the intermediate steps. You need to understand from here where will you go, from there where will you go, that thinking we will have to make. So if somebody asks, how do I do a parikrama of Mount Kailash, 40 minutes of brisk walk every day will take you to Mount Kailash is true, and it is also not true. It all depends on how we understood this. These are exactly like that. Or how do I win the Olympic 200 meters or 100 meters? 1 hour of physical workout. Like a doctor giving a prescription I am giving. Bear with me for that. I am only trying to communicate the idea. Right? Special food habits, eating discipline, all these are very important. These are all the preparatory steps which lead you to a final step. So if you ask me how do I go to Majestic Station, I'll say take a right turn. I am both right and wrong because you have to take a right turn. But then there may be several left turns and right turns that you will have to take. I am not telling that now. In the same way, the Upasana looks simple, but the benefits look bigger. It is only implying that go on this journey. If you go on this journey, you will actually go to the kind of benefits that they are talking about. So that is how this anuvaka ends. We will now go to the next anuvaka. The pala is here. Next anuvaka is again a beautiful anuvaka, which is, first I will recite it because we haven't seen it before. Yas chandasam rishabho vishwarupaha chandobhyodhyamrita at sambabhuva samendro medaya aspranotu amritasya devadharano bhuyasam shariram me vicharshanam jihva me madhumattama karna abhyam bhuri vishruvam brahmana koshosi medaya pihitah shutam me gopaya. Up to this is one portion. I'll read the whole anuvaka. Up to this is a very important portion. Then starts avahanti vitanvana kurvana chiramatmanah vasagumsi mamagavascha annapane cha sarvada tato me shriyamavaha lomasham pashubhis sahaswaha amayantu brahmacharina swaha vimayantu brahmacharina swaha pramayantu brahmacharina swaha damayantu brahmacharina swaha shamayantu brahmacharina swaha yashojane sani swaha shreyan vasya sosani swaha tantvabaga pravishani swaha samabhaga pravisha swaha tasmin sahasrashake nibagaham tvayi mrije swaha yata pravatayanti yata masa aharjaram yevam mam brahmacharinah dhatarayantu sarvata swaha prativeshosi pramabhagi pramapadyasva. So as you see, there are a lot of swaha here, which means some homa is there. So I will talk a little preamble to it before we see it in a little bit of a detail, because these Upanishads are all so logical. So let us see, where are we going now? Let's see the preamble for this anuvaka. See, in anuvaka 3, we saw that you contemplate on this conjunction, you will get progeny, you will get some fruits. Fruits is economic benefits and so on. So prajaya, that's why sandhiyate prajaya pashubhihi. That's how we kind of ended. Now, in this anuvaka, the Upanishad is actually taking us to another place, which is very important. What it says is, think about these three possibilities. If a person has no retentive power and not good memory, he is not going to go anywhere. It is not about prajaya and pashubhihi. That's okay. That's one step. If we have to make a journey, whether it is a spiritual journey, whether it is a materialist journey, whatever it may be, but we are in the context of a spiritual journey and to know this Brahma Satyam and all that. So no man wanting in retentive power of intellect and forgets everything that is being taught can make any progress. Right? So this is another thing which we have to worry about now. No man who is sick and lacks physical vigor and vitality can attain Brahmajnana. You have retentive power, but you are very weak. Again, you are not going to go anywhere. Now, the third thing, a person who has retentive power and also physically fit, you have to take care of what Abraham Maslow said, lower needs, lower order needs, food, clothing, shelter. That they are talking. Food, clothing, shelter, they are talking. They are saying your greater motivation will come. I am reading it. It says, no man who suffers from want of food and clothing can apply himself to the study of scriptures. Is it not? You can't talk Vedanta to a poor man unless that poor man is already evolved. The poor man is not evolved. He'll say, let me take care of my eating here. It's a genuine problem. A very evolved person, for him this reference of poor and rich are not there. So saying a very evolved person being poor is actually a wrong way of describing. A evolved person has no domain of poor and richness. As long as we are talking poor, rich, we are unevolved. So when I say poor man, he is unevolved. For him, he needs kana. He needs security. So the next anuvaka brings these three. So the next step the Upanishad goes is, let me take care of your lower order needs. Let's do a prayer that we get the lower order needs. Look at how logical this whole thing is going. So that's how it starts. Before going there, this anuvaka has actually two components, as I told you. Avahanti vitanvanaha arabhya, it is actually a second part. So there are two sub parts, so to speak. Actually, since Taittiriya Upanishad's first chapter is all about sadhana, because Brahma, knowledge of Brahman doesn't want to get straight into. It says, you get yourself ready. Only in chapter 2, Brahmavita apnoti param tadesha bhyukta, that's where the Brahma Jnana is coming. This is all about sadhana. There are three types of sadhana in our, if you look at our, these texts, all these Vedantic texts, even our other Dharma Shastra, everywhere you read, sadhana are of three types. Manasika, which is a sadhana with your mind. That is what Samhita Upasana was. It's all playing in the mind. You take this word, you take that word, look at the sandhis, are all in the mind. So one type of sadhana is called Manasika sadhana. Where, right? Second type of sadhana is called Vachika. How do you do? Japa. Repeated uttering. Vachika sadhana. That's why japa is prescribed. You repeatedly Ramanama japa, Gayatri japa, or go to acharyas, they may do a mantra diksha. Essentially, it is a vachika sadhana. Otherwise, this mouth will start talking all kinds of things. You should also put it, give it a context, it will. Is it not? So, vachika sadhana. Then kayika sadhana. The third is with body. Kayika sadhana. That is called homa. In homa, there is a lot of personal effort involved. Actually. So, our sadhanas are of three kinds. So, in Samhita Upasana, we saw Manasika sadhana. Here there are two parts. The first part is Vachika, Japa mantra. The second part is Homa mantra. And all Homa mantras in Vedic literature, you will find Swaha. Whereas if you go to Dharma Shastras and Smritis, you will see Swadha also. Swadha is when you do Pitrakarya. Swaha is when you do Devakarya. So Swaha and Swadha, there are two of them. I talked about it in one of the Bhagavad Gita lectures, if you remember, chapter 17 or somewhere I must have talked about it. So Swaha, the Swaha termination, that's why he said, Yasho Janesani Swaha, you see that here. So every Homa mantra is indicated by a termination Swaha. It doesn't add anything to that mantra in terms of meaning. It is only reminding you, give the oblation what is to be given. It is only reminding that. So that's why there are so many terminations with Swaha. So this, so there are two parts in Anuvaka 4. Part A is Japa, which is Vachika, and part 2 is Kayika, which is Homa mantra, Avahanti Homa mantra, which we will see. Now what is being discussed here, that also we will see before we get into the mantras. So it is easy for us to go through the mantras. The part A is the Japa mantra. Okay? And first thing that the Upanishad does is, now you are all wanting to contemplate, we are all wanting to contemplate the Nirguna Brahman. We need an alambanam, otherwise it is not possible. So it is taking Omkara as the alambana now. The symbol now taken is Omkara. So Omkara is taken for this entire Anuvaka. Omkara is the reference. Omkara is the symbol. And three things are asked through the japa. Through the japa mantra. One is give me Medha Shakti. I should be able to grasp. I should be able to retain. That is a very important capability for me to make any progress. So Meda Shakti is the first thing being asked. Then healthy body and fit body. Amritasya deva dharano bhuyasam shariram me vicharshanam. We'll see it. Jihva me madhumattama karna abhyam bhuri vishruvam. All that is there. And then right attitudes. Madhumattama. You talk sweet things out of your tongue. So develop the right attitudes. So you need a healthy body. You need the Meda Shakti. And then you need also that you have to have the right attitude. So those are the three things which are asked through the japa mantra. In the homa mantra, he is asking for Shri. Give me wealth. Give me a lot of wealth. Actually, this major misconception that ancient Indians are not very materialistic oriented, I can throw a challenge. Nobody can be as materialistic as ancient Indians are. You can take a bet. And the easiest text for you to see is what is called Chamaka Prashna. After Rudra, they say Chamaka. I keep saying it many number of times. You cannot think what you can ask for. They have actually given a list. You memorize it, better go and ask it in a temple. Paragraph wise they have put. I want to be the Lord of the three worlds. One paragraph will be full of that. Another paragraph is full of granaries and ghee and groceries and whatnot. Another paragraph is full of yashas and kirti and like that. So they will never be found wanting in asking for material wealth. Don't have this misconception. So here the Upanishad says, ask for money. But it also will say, what will you do with the money? That is where the difference is between the current quest for money and the ancestors' quest for money. The Homa says, what you get, you have to give it back. That's why, in Yajna, when we talked about in Bhagavad Gita, we said, they say, Somaya idan namama. In Homa mantra, always it ends, not only Swaha, namama, not mine, not mine. You earn a lot, distribute it. Have the pleasure of giving. So that he is asking there. Dhanam, he asks a clarified mind, Chitta Shuddhi. He asks for the ultimate jnanam, and he asks for good students. It's a very interesting request the teacher is asking. We'll see why it is very important. So this is the Homa. So now we'll go through these two parts. We'll start with the japa and then we'll see the Homa. So it starts by saying, Yaha chandasam rishabha. Yes, chandasam rishabo vishwarupaha. Yaha chandasam rishabha vishwarupaha. That which is the rishabha of chandas. See, this is a figurative usage again. A bull in a cattle is used, in a herd of cattle, bull is used to indicate pradhanya. Important. It's a figurative usage. So, chandasam rishabha, that which is the most important of the chandas. Chandas means Veda. Chandas is not meter. In Shruti text, whenever the word chandas comes, it means Veda. Gayatri Chandasam Mata. It's not Anushtup Chandas and Trishtup Chandas. Chandasam Mata means Vedanam Mata. So Chandas means all Vedic knowledge. So first the Upanishad starts saying in this anuvaka that Yaha Chandasam Rishabha and Vishwarupaha. Vishwarupaha is, it's everywhere. Vishwa is the world, Rupa, it takes all forms. That is what the Upanishad starts by saying. What does it mean? Actually, Om. Om is described in Chandogya. Om is described in Mandukya. Mandukya is a very good description. It's only Om. Mandukya is about Om. Etat alambanam param, etat alambanam sreshtam. It is there even in Kathopanishad. Omkara is supposed to be... Now there are lots of stories also behind Omkara. Otherwise we don't... Now Prajapati, to say why it is pradhanya, Prajapati wanted to know what is all this Veda. So he did deep penance and trying to say, how do I get a gist of the Vedas? Veda is, there is this story that Indra, said, I have mastered the whole thing. Then the Rishi, I don't remember the name of the Rishi, he stood by the side of the mountain. I think it comes in Brihadaranyaka, I think. He stands by the side of the mountain and tells, he takes one handful of sand. He says, what you said you have completely mastered is this much, and what is remaining is the hill. Like that. So this Prajapati said, how do I get a gist of this entire Vedic, which is Ananta? Ananta vai Vedaha. That is what it is. Ananta vai Vedaha. So he did deep penance. So what he did, after a lot of penance, he said that Rigs, Yajur and Sama can be reduced to Bhuhu, Bhuvaha and Swaha. 3 Vyahriti. Next Upasana is on that actually. These are called Vyahritis. So Prajapati said, okay, this entire Rig Veda can be reduced to Bhu. Entire Yajurveda can be reduced to Bhuvaha. And the entire Samaveda can be reduced to Suvaha. Then he kept on contemplating, and he said, all these can be actually reduced to Om. These are all stories and they have mystical meaning and so on. So Om is the essence of everything. The entire Vedic thing is actually reflected on or condensed, or that is Prajapati's final finding, that Om is the ultimate. Now interestingly, Om is not a lipi. Om is a sound symbol, so it should be everywhere. That's why it is Vishwarupa. Another reason why it is Vishwarupa is in every language there will be Om. Because Om is a sound. Om is not a lipi. We have invented, that's why it has a special lipi. Or we try to put a O and put a dot, all these we are trying. Om is actually a Nada Bindu. It is a sound. It is not a lipi. Moment you say it is a sound, it should be beyond the domain of your lipi. So, Tamil also must have Om, Kannada must also have Om, German also must have Om, and Persian also must have Om. That is why it is Vishwarupa. Another reason. So, this is all. And another reason why it is Vishwarupa is Vedic wisdom contains everything, and entire Vedic wisdom is actually in Om. So by reverse logic, the whole Vedic wisdom came out of Om. Therefore, Om is Chandasam Rishabha, Om is also Vishwarupaha. So these are all, again, very figurative expression. We have to, understand Om is an alambanam for the Nirguna. That is the motivation for all these. So here the object taken for Upasana, for the japa, is Omkara. So the first line says that, Yes Chandasam Rishabha Vishwarupaha Chandobhyoho Adi Amritat Sambabhuva. So of all these chandas or the Vedic knowledge, right, which are all Amrita, they are all beginningless and endless. Out of that this Om came. Because that is what Prajapati with deep contemplation identified this sound symbol at the end of it and say this can represent the whole wisdom. So when we think of Omkara, this much story should go behind us. Only then that Omkara Upasana will make a lot of sense to us. See, a stone which is lying here, which a stone cutter and a stapati is working on, can never become a deity. You take it, put it somewhere and do an elaborate alambana on that. You do an elaborate superimposition of things on that. The elaborate ritual is a very important step to see God there. In the same way, Om is, don't write Om and think this is Om. That Upasana is of no use. Om, we must remember, that's why these Upanishads are telling, that's why all Upanishads are talking about Om. When moment we put a Om and do a Upasana, our thought process must go behind all these. He says, Chandasam Rishabha, Vishwarupaha, Chandobhyaha, Amrita Sambabhuva. All these ideas, then Om reflects in the Nirguna for us. So the first line introduces the Alambanam. It says, Yaha Chandasam Rishabha, Vishwarupaha, and that which is come out of this immortal nectar called Veda, out of that, it was finally found Om can represent, is a concise understanding, remembrance of this entire Vedic wisdom can be contemplated on this sound symbol called Om. So that is what the first line is saying. Then he says, Saha, may, to me, Indraha has so many meanings, right? One of the meaning is the Lord of the Indriyas. One of the meaning is Omkara. So Indra is not Indra. Here contextual meaning of Indra is Omkara. So Saha Indraha me Medaya Spranot. Give me Meda Shakti. Let Meda Shakti become Spurti in me. Spurayatu. Let this Omkara, I will contemplate on this Omkara and this japa, I will repeatedly utter this. Why? I want it to give me. I want it to give me Meda Shakti. So he says, Sa me Indraha Medaya Spranotu. Give me, bless me with Meda Shakti. Meda Suktam, there is a Yajurveda Meda Sukta and a Rigveda Meda Sukta. Very, very nice. I have just taken two lines from Yajurveda Meda Sukta. I just want, since we are talking about Meda, I thought I will bring the Meda Sukta. I will anyway talk about it. Then he says, Amritasya. Amritasya is of immortality. Amritam is immortality. Tasya, that. Amritasya, He Deva, Deva is Sambodhana. He Deva, I see you in Omkara. He Deva, Amritasya Dharanaha Bhuyasam. Let me become the beholder of immortality. I am asking for immortality now. So I am saying, please give me immortality. That is the meaning of that. He Deva, Amritasya Dharanaha, the beholder. Dharanaha is one who dhriyate, one who dharyate, one who is able to hold, support. So he says, make me the supporter of immortality. What does it mean? Make me immortal. That is the meaning of it. So Amritasya Deva Dharano Bhuyasam. Bhuyasam is a benedictive message. Let me be the, it's a Ashirvada kind of a benedictory message, usage of the verb. So it says, let me be the beholder of immortality, which means make me immortal. So that is, see the kind of prayers, see the grand, I am reminded of this story. I have told this story several times again in the past. A king got lost into the deep forest and some hunter in the forest led him out of the forest. So the king asked him, come to my place tomorrow morning. I am the king of this great Samrat. So he goes next day, he tells his wife, this person is the king, he has asked me to come tomorrow. So tomorrow he goes to the court and then king asks, tell me what you want. So this man thinks for a while, he says, I want some vegetables, I have to cook my lunch. This is all he asked to the king. Our ancestors will never, they ask very grand things. See the grand vision they have. They don't ask, give me a 60-40, but a lot of our prayers of that variety. One car, one job, one 60-40 plot, one farmhouse, at that level we are operating. He says, Amritasya Deva Dharano Bhuyasam. Look at the grand vision that they have. Look at the high ground on which they want to aspire to be. That is the spirit of this. All Vedic, throughout you see, Taittiriya Upanishad, full it will be like this. It's all grandeur. I think we should experience that grandeur a little bit. That we can do only when we read. So there is one shloka I saw somewhere. Akarasya akarancha ukarancha makarancha prajapatihi. So this Prajapati did so much of penance. Finally he took the akara, ukara and makara. Right? Vedatrayan niravaduhat. He milks the entire Vedic knowledge into akara, ukara and makara. That is what Om. So that's what the shloka says. Bhurbhuva swariti cha. So first he thought Bhuhu Bhuvaha Swaha. That's why Gayatri Mantra starts with Om Bhurbhuva Swaha. That's all. The whole Veda is now contained there if you are able to reflect on this. That's why Gayatri Mantra starts with Om Bhurbhuva Swaha. Om itself is a concise form of Bhurbhuva Swaha. Bhurbhuva Swaha is a concise form of the entire Vedic wisdom. That's all to be thought about the moment we think of Om. The Upanishad is telling us, don't think Om like a symbol or a sound symbol. This is a alambanam of something great. So that's what it is actually trying to say here.
There's also one sloka from Mandukya. Om Ityada Akshara.
Yes. In fact, Mandukya is all about Om only. The entire description after the three avasthas, it gets straight into the Omkara description.
I like the part saying present, past, future and beyond.
Yes. That, you are right. I thought because Omkara there is a separate upasana, I wanted to actually defer all Omkara discussion. He is right. Akara is past, ukara, makara, the three periods, and the sound, finally, that is for something which is beyond all the three. That is the conceptualization that you will find in Mandukya Upanishad in terms of Omkara and so on. It's a nice description there. Then he says, the Upanishad says, Shariram me vicharshanam. Make me fit. Let
Also a Shanti mantra. Every day I recite.
People, why it is a Shanti mantra? It is a japa mantra. A japa is supposedly to be repeated. So you are right. There is a paddhati of saying this as a Shanti mantra up to Shrutam me gopaya. That's the one practice. In fact, Meda Sukta, it starts with this only. Meda Sukta, up to what I have said so far, that is the first mantra, which is a Shanti mantra. You are right. That is a practice of even, because what is Shanti mantra? Shanti mantra is thinking grand, asking big things, not only for me, for everyone. That is what it is. So he says, Shariram me vicharshanam. Let me have a body which is fit. Because if this vehicle is not all right, what are we going to do? We will be distracted only in attending to it. See, this body, I don't know how many of you thought about it. You will never be aware of body when everything is all right. That is our prajna will never be there. So that is what it is asking. Take me one dimension out of my mind. When something happens to us, that time only we remember body. Otherwise we don't remember body. Who remembers our body? We don't. When something happens, the prajna comes. So by shariram me vicharshanam, it is saying, keep me fit so that that dimension is now out. None of us think about body when everything going is good. When the going is not good, the remembrance of the body comes. Right? Jihva me madhumattama. The tongue should be used for sweet things. Tongue is used, it's a very, very dangerous, as somebody, I was hearing Swami Paramarthananda, beautifully he said, this tongue, you have to be very watchful of the tongue, because it is the softest tissue in our body, locked between two hardest substances in the body, which is the upper jaw and the lower jaw. So watch out your tongue. He didn't mean it. What he meant to us, watch out your tongue. Because the tongue can, so if the tongue can maneuver these hardest object in your body, in fact the teeth is the hardest object. Put it in acid, it takes so many days to separate, and somebody said we put it in Coca-Cola, it dissolves faster or something. So anyway, that's acid, nitric acid or something, that's a different issue. So, jikva me madhumattama. Let me talk, let good things come out of my mouth. I may talk good things. Pleasant thing. In fact, from Niti Shataka, I want to give a nice sloka. Our ancestors have thought about in Bhagavad Bhuri actually means fullness. My own reading is, Puri is not Puri, it is Bhuri. You know why? Because the air must fill it. It is actually Bhuri. We call it as Puri and all that eating. It is actually Bhuri. Bhuri is full. That's why in Bhuri Dakshana they give. In rituals, they say give Bhuri Dakshana. Bhuri Dakshana means fullness. Bhuri is fullness. So Karnabhyam Bhuri Vishravam. I should hear things which make me full. Make me a full person. I don't want to hear all nonsense. That is another prayer. Karnabhyam, with both the ears, Bhuri Vishravam. That's the next thing the Upanishad says. Karnabhyam Bhuri Vishravam. Brahmanaha Koshaha Asi. Asi has two meanings. Shankaracharya has two interpretations to this Asi. Asi is actually Madhyama Purusha. You, Tom Asi. Since Omkara is what is the thing, one way to say is Kosha is a coverage. Kosha is a container. So Brahmanasya Kosha Asi. Hey Omkara, you are the envelope or the container of this Brahma Jnana which I am looking for. Medaya Pihitaha. With Meda it is covered. Here Meda does not mean Dharana Shakti. It means worldly knowledge. Anartha knowledge. Anatma. Knowledge of Anatma. Too much of extravertedness that we have. That is the meaning of Meda here. Medaya Pihitaha. It is covered. Avarna. It is covered with my ignorance of becoming too extrovertedness in this life. That worldly knowledge is the Meda meaning here. So contextually this Meda has a different meaning, Atma has a different meaning and so on. So Brahmanaha koshosi Medaya pihitaha Shutam me gopaya. All that I have heard, let it protect me. That's what in Rigveda also, Ano Badraha Krato Yantu Vishwataha. Let all good things from all over the place come unto me. Such mantras are there in Rigveda, same thing. Shutam me gopaya. All that I have heard, protect me. Very positive prayers. Positive prayers, two things. One is positive prayer, another is not low level positivity. I want money, I want peace and happiness are low level positivity. I mean, it's also a certain degree of positivity. This low level. These are all very high level positivity. Grandeur. This is what Upanishad is. This is what ancient Indian wisdom is. It's all but grandeur. Very broad thinking. So, Meda Sukta, I just wanted, because Meda is such an important thing that people seriously, recite Meda Sukta. Because, look at the pitch that they have. I've taken only 3 mantras, there are 6 mantras, I just took 2 or 3 mantras, just to give you a sense of how our ancestors have been very, very positive in asking and pitching for and so on. Look at here. He says, Meda Devi Jushamana Na Agat Vishwachi Badra Sumanasyamana. I have removed all the Swara symbols. I am not reciting it. Meda Devi Jushamana Na Agat. Like that it will come. I have removed all the symbols here. Tvaya Jushta Jushamana Dhuruktan Brihatvadema Vidate Suviraha. So the first mantra says, Meda Devi, hey, this deity of Meda Shakti. See, Meda Shakti has 2 components, Grahana and Dharana. Ability to grasp, ability to retain. The greatest strength of Indians till probably 1900 or 1890 or whatever is Meda Shakti. The greatest thing we are losing at a terrific pace is Meda Shakti. Today 5 plus 4, my child does not know. She needs a calculator perhaps. These are all part of Meda Shakti. The rote learning is actually taking Meda out of us. Rote learning is very good. Memory is very good. It makes you very, very strong in your ability. That actually feeds your analytical thinking. If you keep your memory very strong, that's a real advantage. I don't know why we have just want to go after the Americans. Americans, what they do is, if you can't make everybody Kubera, make everybody Kuchela. In fact, many of the things they do are like that. I cannot get Meda Shakti, let's talk ill of it and then bring everybody to my common minimum program. Meda is very, very important. Memory power is a solid foundation. That's why in the Upanishad first it starts with give me Meda. All other things later. Give me Meda first. Of course, give me good health and all that. So, Meda Devi Jushamana Na Agat. He says, don't go away. Vishwachi, because Meda Shakti is omnipresent everywhere. The excellence is nothing but the manifestation of Meda Shakti. Vishwachi Badra. She is embodiment of protection, embodiment of good things. Sumanasya Mana. All that is how the Suktam starts. Then he says, Tvaya Jushta. Now you have endowed me. Right? Jushamanaha. We are all to be done and you have done it. But before that, what did I do? He says Duruktan. Duruktan. I was telling wrong, talking bad things. Because you gave me the Meda Shakti, right? Brihatvadema. Now we'll talk very significant things. You have given me, give me that Shakti so that all this nonsense that I am doing, I want to get out of that. Only when I get the Meda Shakti, I will clean up all these and I will start thinking this grandeur. So that is the first mantra which is actually, saying that. Tvaya Jushta Rishibihi Bhavati. Those who are blessed with you can become a Rishi. That is the power of Meda Shakti. So Tvaya Jushta Rishibihi Bhavati Devi. Hey Devi. Then Tvaya become Brahma also. Ultimate reaching that Brahman, I need this Meda. So you have to bless me. I need you. Otherwise this journey is not there. So Tvaya Jushta Brahma Agata Shrihi. Uta, otherwise, Uta means otherwise. In Sandhi it has become Ruta. Shrihi and Uta, Shri Ruta. Agata Shri Ruta. Uta, or even wealth will accumulate to me when I have Meda. So I need Meda to accumulate wealth. I need Meda to become a Rishi. I need Meda to become Brahma also. Which means Meda is so important. Please bless me with Meda. That is the second prayer. Toya jushtas chitram vindate. Once I am blessed with you, I can really think, my Shakti goes all over the place. The things I can, do, contemplate and, focus on, concentrate on, and all that is possible. Chitram vindate. Vasuhu sanaha jushasva dravino namedhe. So give me all these wealth, all that comes through Meda Shakti. So hey Mede, so that is a Sambodhana. The last ends with hey Mede. You bless me, I will become all these, so therefore I need you. That's the second mantra. Third mantra says, Medam ma indro dadatu medam devi saraswati. He says, Medam me indro dadatu. Hey Indra, give me Meda. Now it goes to all gods and says, all of you give me Meda. So you say, everybody give me Meda. Now Meda is personified as a deity. Now we step out and say, we go to each sub-deities and say, give me Meda. Medam me indre dadato. Indro dadato. Hey Indra, me Medam dadato. Give me Meda. Saraswati Meda dadato. Medam, Devi, Saraswati dadato is common for both. Okay? So Saraswati, give me Meda. What is the significance here? You go and say, Saraswati, give me Meda so that I can excel in knowledge. You say, Medam me indro dadati, give me Meda so that my indriyas are well in my, gainfully I can use it properly. So that is what it is. Right? Then Ashvina, these twins, Ashvinau Ubhau. In Sandhi it has become Ashvina Ubha. Ayadi Sandhi. It's called Au will become Au. All that is happening. So don't worry. Ashvinau Ubhau Vadattam Pushkarasraja. See, the Ashvinaus are the best of the Gandharas. They are supposed to have a special knowledge, autistic knowledge, right brain issues and so on. So give me that. That's also the third thing that is being, you give me that. You are best in it, give me that. I call it as Meda. Give me that. Apsara suchaya Meda Gandharveshu chayan manaha. So amongst the Gandharvas, all the niceties of Gandharva, let that be the Meda for me. Apsaras are known for their beauty and all that. Give me that also in the name of Meda. So that is the prayer there. Daivim Meda Saraswati Samam Meda Surabir Jushata Hum Swaha. So Surabhi is continuous thing. So you provide me continuously, all your grace can be with me for all the time, is what this mantra is saying. Anyway, so Meda Suktam Rigveda Meda Sukta is also very good, very nice, small sukta, about 10 mantras only, very nice. Yajurveda is about 6 mantras. That's also Mai Medam, Mai Prajam, Mai Indriyam Dadatu, Mai Medam, Mai Prajam, Mai Agni, Brajo Dadatu, all those are. It's very nice in this. Then Madhumattama, Jikhva me Madhumattama. This speech is a very important part of tapas. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 17 we saw that, so I thought I will get that back. Anudvekakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat. Krishna says, what is this Vangmaya tapas? Anu udvekakaram. Some people, moment they say one word, blood pressure will become 220. That is udvekakara. This is anu udvekakara. Na udvekakara. An udvekakara. Right? You should talk in such a way not to make the other person, some people have that skill. They talk in such a way, others are, get very agitated. It's a very bad skill. They put down upon them, look down upon them, disrespect them. Krishna says, Anudvekakaram Vakyam. That what you speak should not create these kinds of this thing. That is the first. Satyam, Priyam, Hitam. He talks about 3 things. Satyam, Viduraniti has it so well. We'll see that in Viduraniti. It's so beautiful. Satyam, Priyam and Hitam Chayate. Swadhyayabhyasanam. This mouth is required to utter these nice mantras, is what Krishna is. Swadhyaya. Do Swadhyaya and then, spread that nice things to other people. That's what you need, this speaking capability, is what Krishna is saying. He says, Vangmaya tapas. That's what he says. The tapas of vak must be like that. He talked about the three types of tapas and so on. Then Vidura Niti, look at that Satyam Priyam Hitam is so beautifully said by Vidura in Vidura Niti. Look at the shloka. He says, Avyahritam. Best thing is not to talk. Don't talk. Silence is better. Avyahritam. Then he says, Vyahritam chet, in case if you have to talk. Best thing is don't talk. Avyahritam. Vyahritam chet yaha ahuhu satyam vadet. If you have to open your mouth, better tell truth. Now he says, even in that, Vyahritam tad dvitiyam. Satyam vadet vyahritam tad dvitiyam. So don't talk is one. If you have to talk, then talk truth. Then he says, even in that, right? Priyam vadet. Tell truth which is priyam. That's what Krishna said, priyam satyam. You see that there. So he says, don't talk. Or if you have to talk, talk truth. Even within truth, it's a subset. Within truth, talk hitam or priyam. Okay? Then he says, that tritiyam. Then he says, even within that, talk only dharma. Don't talk a satyam which is priyam, which is adharma. Don't talk. So 4 conditions. Not at all talk. Or if you talk, talk truth. That truth must be agreeable. And that truth which is agreeable must be dharmyam. If it is adharma, don't talk. So Vidura Niti says, all these are all to be remembered when we say, Jikhva me madhumattama. I think we should reflect on these ideas, which is what the Upanishadic prayer is all about. Huh?
Better to be silent. These 3 conditions will fail life.
That's why he started with that. Then in Viveka Chudamani, also Adi Shankaracharya says, Yogasya Pratamadwaram Vang Nirodha. Look at how categorically he is saying, in all your journey in yoga, Vang Nirodha is the first key, first door is that. Your ability to control your tongue is what is. Then of course other things, aparigraha, nirasha, all those he is saying, but most important. In fact, Jikhvame Madhumattama Karnabhyam Bhuri Vishravam is in so many mantras. Shanti mantras. Look at here. Badram Karne Vishruniyama Devaha. Badram Pashyema Kshabirya Jatraha. Sthirei Rangai. There is another nice mantra which is for the, Arna Prashna, you will find this is a Shanti mantra. So Badram Karne Bihi Shrunuyama. This ear must hear only Badram. Good things. The intentions are very, very positive. Let's hear only good things. Badram karnebihi shunuyama devaha. Hey devas, the prayer to the God is, let me hear good things. Let me not hear bad things. So that's the kind of prayer that Badram pashyema. We'll see. These eyes must be there only to do good things, see good things. Oh God, don't put me in a situation where I have to see bad things. There are very nice prayers. I think repeatedly when we do the japa and this prayer, our desire to this positivity will dramatically increase. That will shape our thinking. That will shape our action. That is the journey on which we will go. That is why these mantras are very important. These mantras and japas are because the more and more we say, it will start affecting us in those directions. And slowly and steadily we will find our preferences for things will also be aligned with that. That is the idea with which they have done all this. I think we need to just stop here. Medaya Pihitaha, only one reference I want to say. He said, Medaya Pihitaha. This worldly knowledge has completely covered. Brahmana Koshosi Medaya Pihitaha. That's what the last mantra in that, in japa. Because what it says is that all Upanishads are saying, look at Ishavasya Upanishad, it's a beautiful mantra. It says, Avidyaya Mrityum Tirtva Vidyaya Amritam Ashnute. It says, with avidya, you cannot reach immortality. That avidya is the meda. With avidya, you can end the cycle of birth and death. That's all. Liberation is not possible. You can cross the ocean of birth and death. Tirtva means, tarati means one who crosses. Tirtva means having crossed. So, avidyaya mrityum tirtva, vidyaya amritam ashnute. So, the meda that we are talking about is avidya. It is making us worldly, so we will be just in this chakkar because of the karma palas and so on. So Medaya Pihitaha meaning it's all avidya, all that. Mundaka Upanishad first mantra will just flat. The Shishya has Angirasam Papracha Kasmin Vijnate Sarvomitam Vijnatam Bhavati. He says there is something called Paravidya and Aparavidya. He says Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Chandas, all that. The first day, whatever picture I showed in the first class, he classifies all of them as Aparavidya. And then he says Aparavidya, Avidya. Which means these knowledge are necessary condition, not sufficient condition. Sufficient condition is Atma Vichara. That only will take us out. So that is what, same thing it says beautifully in Kathopanishad. He says, Paranchikani vrinnatat sarvam swayambhuhu tasmat paran pashyati na antaratma. People always look outside, they don't look inside. Because they are interested only in outside. All the time they are looking at outside. Tasmat paran pashyati na antaratma. Kaschid dhiraha, one brave person. When a person becomes brave, when he uses his buddhi very well, kaschid dhiraha pratyagatma avaikshat. He says, now I will turn inside. Then what will he do? Avritta chakshuhu. His whole chakshu is not eye. It means the indriyas are all turned inside. Eye is just a reference. All indriyas are now turned inside. Avritta chakshuhu amritattvam icchan. Why? Because he become dhiraha. So Nachiket, Yama tells Nachiketas, the only that great person who found all these are futile, he will turn all the indriyas inside. Avritta chakshuhu amritattvam icchan. So what Kathopanishad says. So all these we should remember when we say Medaya Pihita. It is worldly knowledge which is all enveloping us again and again and again. So we will be in this ignorance. Birth and death process. Like a Poisson process, it is a birth and death process. Go and come and so on. I think we will stop here. We will continue in the next class with the Homa mantras which are very interesting. Thank you.